is Jeff Rose. Welcome to soldierfinance.com. Today I want to talk a little bit about being ignorant. And I don't know a nicer way of saying it, so I'm just going to say it like that. Do not let ignorance be an excuse. When I was in basic training, and especially when we were running operations overseas, there was no excuse not to have the information that you needed. Before we would run our missions, there would be operation orders, and we would go through all the different types of scenarios, whether it be, what was the mission, what was the objective, what happens if this goes wrong, what happens if this goes wrong, who do we call for this? And it was, our platoon sergeant's duty to pass the information on to us, and then it was my duty as a squad leader to pass it on to my squad and to my team leaders. And, then we would run these battle drills to where we would know everything we needed to. So there was no second guessing. We just knew what we had to do. And so ignorance was not an excuse, because if you didn't know the answer, you asked. And what I mean by do not let that be an excuse, several years ago I happened to meet with this guy, and there was this plant that had shut down, and they had decisions to make with their pensions and 401ks. This particular gentleman had the pension because that was default. You had to take part of the pension. There was no getting out of that. But they had offered a 401k, I want to say like 10 years prior to the plant being shut down. So when I was helping him with his options, we saw his pension, and I asked him, what about your 401k? And he said, I don't have a 401k. He's like, I didn't want to mess with that because that involved the stock market. And I heard that, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I'll get to that. But one thing I also want to say was that his employer with the 401k had a very, very nice match. So they had free money. And a lot of his coworkers had taken a part of it. They weren't necessarily maxing it out, but they were putting a decent amount of their paycheck in the 401k, and then in turn getting that free money in form of the match. But this gentleman did not take part because he did not want to be involved in the stock market. Now keep in mind, if you have a 401k, you know that there's not just stocks in your 401k. You can invest into bonds, or you can invest into a money market option, which is maybe not quite like the savings account at a bank, but it's pretty darn close. And usually you can be rest assured that there is no loss of principal. So he didn't have to invest in the stock market, but because of his ignorance, because of his not asking questions, not asking his coworkers, not asking somebody to educate him on what his options were, he's just defaulted and said, I'm not going to take part because it's the stock market. And a 401k is not the stock market. And he did not know that. And whether he didn't use that as an excuse, but ignorance did not need to be an excuse. He was close to retirement, didn't have nearly as much saved as he needed to, and this whole time he could have had free money sitting there waiting for him, in the 401k match, but he didn't do it because he was ignorant. And I'm not trying to be down on this guy, but the point that I want to make is, don't let it be an excuse. If you're not sure about something, ask, find out, research. Take 10 minutes to look around and ask some questions. Go to your HR department and see if they know. If they don't know, then they at least got to know someone they can recommend to go talk to. And that's what the message I want to get across today. So when it comes to your own financial life, when it comes to these big important decisions, don't be ignorant. Educate yourself. Take charge and go out and seek it. Don't sit back and wait. A soldier of finance goes out and seeks the information. They don't sit back and be ignorant. Remember that. This is Jeff Rose, soldierfinance.com.